Greetings, students. I apologize again for that live conference and the unrecording of that conference. Wasn't even an option to record, and so nevertheless, I wanted to at least record a video for you that sort of highlights what we discussed in the conference, and as sort of a checklist of what's needed for the essay that's due this Tuesday, April 21st by midnight. This is the essay called The Classroom as a Lifeboat, and it applies the lifeboat theory to the overcrowded classroom. I'm going to be referring to the lesson that was released under the module of Thursday, April 16th, and the title of that lesson is A Little Help Here. It's the only lesson under that module. So if you could pull that up on another window, I want to be able to go through it with you. And you should be able to see that everything you need to know about the essay is right there in the lesson. Okay. First thing, I want to talk a little bit about the logistics of it. It's important for you to turn in something on Tuesday. Okay. Even if it's just an incomplete draft, just give me something so I can give you feedback on it. You want that in order to have at least the option to do a rewrite on the essay. Okay. If you don't turn it in by midnight on Tuesday, then you don't have that option. Okay. But so just give me something so I can look at it, give you some feedback. You'll see how I grade, what I'm looking for. It'll be fruitful for you for the remainder of the semester. Secondly, it's important that you turn it in by email. Do not turn it in through Canvas. Do not turn it as a message. Turn it in by email. And my email address is on the syllabus, the assignment, as well as the lessons. It's the campus email, nishimj@lacitycollege.edu. Okay. Third, make sure that you turn it in as an email attachment. That is a Word document. And I'm talking about Microsoft Word document. Okay, so I don't want a PDF. I can't write on a PDF. I don't want it as a Google Doc or Apple Pages. It has to be a Microsoft Word document so I could comment and make corrections of it. And it will make your option of rewrite a lot easier for you. Okay. Now you do have Microsoft Word on your SIS. It's under Outlook and it's free for all students. However, if you don't like Microsoft Word, if you don't want to go through the hassle of learning its bells and whistles, you could always copy and paste your draft onto an email and email it to me. Okay? And then I'll transcribe that to a Word document. In short, just give me something to look at for Tuesday so that I could give you feedback on time. I don't want anyone to be behind in this semester. Now, this is the first essay you'll be turning into me. If anything, it has little impact on your overall grade. You have a second, third essay after that. You have the final exam. Nevertheless, it demonstrates how I grade and what I look for in an essay. Some people also ask about page length. I'm not a page counter. I don't count words either. I don't count quotes. I do require you to have quotes and cite passages in your essay, so I know that you read the material. If you turn in something that's 3.5 pages and it's a good argument, then I'll give you a grade. I should mention, though, that if you turn in something that's under 3 pages, most likely it lacks content, and you'll be marked down as such. So you definitely need to be able to support your argument. And I'm going to show you how you would do that when we look at that lesson. A little help here. Okay. Again, all of this is mentioned. Everything I'm mentioning so far is on that lesson. So if you have your computer open, or you can open up another window with this video going on, you might have to go through another search engine. Do so because I want to go through that lesson. So when you pull up the lesson, again, this is the one under Thursday, April 16th. It's called A Little Help Here. If you go to the very bottom of the page, or near the end at least, in green, I give you a sample essay. Okay, and again, the sample essay is an outline, but it does show you what I look for in this particular assignment. Note that you need a title of the essay. Do not put down essay number 1 or essay number 2, or don't put down Lifeboat Ethics. Come up with an original title. Okay. And in the introduction, all you have to do is simply summarize one of the readings that defines the theory. Okay. So you have 2 readings. You have United States versus Holmes, and you have Lifeboat Ethics, a case against helping the poor. Either one of them would do. Do not summarize both of them. Okay, the essay is short, so you don't really have that much time to summarize both. But you definitely need to summarize one. So if you look at the sample at the bottom of that lesson, you'll see them using Garrett Hardin's essay. Okay, and the introduction is a brief summary. It doesn't have to be that long. You're not doing a book report. You're just summarizing enough so that a reader who's unfamiliar with the class will be able to understand your thesis. Okay, so the introduction goes like this. In Garrett Hardin's 1974 essay, Lifeboat Ethics, a case against helping the poor, the author describes a peerless situation in which people within the boat, standing in for the rich and privileged, must decide whether to admit anyone in the waters, mainly the poor, in the boat, jeopardizing the, quote, safety factor, unquote, paragraph 7 of maximum capacity. While this process of choosing who is more valuable hints at favoritism, prejudices, and even profiling, Hardin warns that if everyone is given the opportunity to be saved, the entire boat will sink, and his words, complete justice equals complete catastrophe, end quote, paragraph 6. This method might not be ideal or even moral, but it's a pragmatic procedure given the circumstances. Now note that that is a 3-sentence summary. That's all you need in order to summarize the theory. Okay, it explains the purpose of the theory. It gives quotes that supports that summary, and it cites it. And note too that how I cite it. I don't in this in-text citation in parentheses. I don't mention the author's last name. I don't need to because I mentioned the full name of the author at the very first sentence of the introduction, as well as the entire title of his essay. So you could just put paragraph 7 and paragraph 6 for that citation. And then that's it. That's all you need to do to cite, because the rest of the essay is really going to be about the classroom. You can cite, quote and cite other passages from either the court case or from Hardin's essay throughout your essay, but you don't need to do that. As long as you quote and cite in the introduction, that gives me an understanding that you read the material. So next would be the thesis. And again, note that the thesis answers the prompt question. And if you don't know what the prompt question is, go to the assignment or to the top of this lesson plan, and you'll notice that the prompt question is asking you whether or not lifeboat theory is the best, most effective method in dealing with an overcrowded classroom. Okay, so it is, since it's asking you whether it's the best method or the most effective method, it is suggesting an argument. Okay, and with every argument, you have to have 2 sides. And so make sure that whatever thesis you decide to write on, whatever argument you're trying to make, whether or not lifeboat theory is the best method or not, you need to incorporate that into your thesis. So I have that this lifeboat theory is the best method possible in dealing with an overwhelming demand such as overcrowded classroom. Okay, if you say it is definitely a method to reduce classroom size, but it's not the best method in order to deal with this crisis, you would say that the lifeboat theory is not the best method, however, in dealing with an overcrowded classroom. Again, it depends on what your argument is trying to make in the essay itself. So you want to be able to reduce your thesis to the prompt question. And then the body parts of your essay. is a support, criticism, and counter argument to that thesis. And I just outline it here, and I give you a bunch of questions to consider. The first body part considers, why would you reduce the class size to a manageable level? What would be the benefits? How would you go about selecting people into that class or not? Again, you could look at the lessons that we've discussed so far. You could think about eliminating people through attendance, through exam, through who needs it more for the graduation and who doesn't. So those will be methods in which you would implement lifeboat theory into an overcrowded classroom. Then the second body part would be criticism to the theory. And really the only criticism of the theory is that it doesn't accommodate all who needs a higher education. And so an alternative method in dealing with an overcrowded classroom, aside from lifeboat theory, which can be very cutthroat, very unethical, would be to make a bigger boat. Okay. Now, of course, you can have more classes. That will require more teachers, more salary. It's costly. You might have to build more rooms. But a better way, more effective way, would be online classes. Right? Online classes is a way to accommodate more students in the classroom because it's the virtual one. It's not limited by the walls of a room, right? So an online class, for example, for this class, I'm contracted to take up to 38 students for a 101 class. In the same class, online, I could take up to 55 students, right? Because the classroom size doesn't matter, okay? And so that would be a criticism or an alternative to the lifeboat theory, okay? And then the last part of your essay is whether or not you think that's a better method than lifeboat theory, or is lifeboat theory the best method to deal with an overcrowded classroom. So those are your three body parts to your essay that all support the thesis, okay? And then the last part is the conclusion. Now, I don't know who taught people this, or students I've known, but you don't need to repeat your thesis in the conclusion. It's pointless for a short essay like this. I could just go back to the top of the page and find your thesis, okay? It's more important that you give a expansion of your argument, and I would do it in the form of an if-then statement. So if you look at the conclusion I have, it basically it doesn't repeat the thesis, but it carries on that argument of the thesis, right? It says, if the lifeboat method was implemented in college classes, we will be able to restore the quality of education. Students will be more appreciative of the standings and be more focused in the coursework. While few may suffer, those inside the class will be a lot more successful. Okay, so that's an example of how you keep to the argument you're trying to make in your thesis, but then you broaden it out to a larger issue. Okay? So that's the essay. And if you look at the introduction, the three body parts, and the conclusion, if you make all of them a page, the essay comes out to be 5 pages. Okay, so, and that's all you really need to do in order to turn something in. Again, an argument that's able to be supported given the reading involved. Okay? Now this week I also had you read a modest proposal. And if you know anything about modest proposal, there are logical arguments that have no ethical boundaries, right? And so the lifeboat theory, especially in Garrett Hardin's case, and definitely in the court case, is an example of a modest proposal, right? In other words, it solves a problem, a life-threatening problem, but it does it in a very unethical way. I mean, note how Garrett Hardin titles his essay as Lifeboat Ethics, right? Because the method itself is hardly ethical. So he's redefining what ethics is. And that's one way, if you were talking about a overcrowded classroom, you could take this assignment as a modest proposal, right? It's simply a proposal that you want readers to consider in order to deal with overwhelming demand to a very limited supply. Okay, so that's it. That's the video I wanted to share with you. Again, take this video more like a checklist on what you need for the assignment due on Tuesday. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. Give me something on Tuesday. Give me a Word document of some draft so I can give you feedback on it. I could grade it, and then you can have the option to rewrite it. Okay? If you have any questions, email me, message me. Otherwise, I would advise you to take advantage of the embedded tutor in the class. He's there for a reason. You have NetTutor if you want to go that route. That's fine. But just you have a lot of resources here, including myself. Feel free to reach out to me and be able to turn that in on Tuesday. All right. Thank you.